we've been waiting for this for like a week now. We've been like, what the hell is happening?
Yeah.
We didn't know that Eric was stepping down, but we knew something was up at Opendoor HQ.
All right. Maybe let's get started. Yeah. If you have any questions, please request speaking permission, and we will take them after a quick summary of today's events. I have the press release open here. Let me take a look. All right. So Opendoor appoints CFO Carrie Wheeler to CEO. Co-founder and CEO Eric Wu transitions to a new role as President Marketplace. That was the first role change. So Carrie Wheeler, CFO, becomes CEO. CEO Eric becomes President Marketplace. Then we have President Andrew Low-Key is resigning from his role to pursue other opportunities and will remain strategic advisor to the company through Q1 2023. So quite a short time. And then we have, obviously we need a new CFO. So we have Christy Schwartz, who was Chief Accounting Officer, becoming the interim CFO. So we will probably also see a new CFO hire in the next few months. And then there are also some changes in the board. Carrie is obviously joining the board, and Opendoor board lead independent director is also changing to John Rice. A lot of leadership changes. Tyler, do you have some words on that?
Yeah, so I think kind of a huge announcement all around, especially since this is not a young company. They've been around since 2013, and Eric has been the CEO the whole time, and he was really the last of the founders, the original founders of the company, to remain in a leadership role. So I think on the one hand, if you've been following this company for a while and you believe in what they're building, it's sad to see Eric step away as CEO. But that being said, functionally, it seems like he's still remaining exactly where he needs to be for the company, which is focused on building great products, and specifically this marketplace, which is the most sustainable expression of the iBuying platform. So, so taking it in that perspective, I think, that's potentially good, because it means that he doesn't have to deal with some of the more day-to-day administrative functions and tasks at the company. I think, if we look at over the past year, what a lot of people have been frustrated with is an absence of really sharing what's going on or what's under the hood, what the vision is for the company. And, recently we got a nice interview between Eric and Ben Thompson. But at the end of the day, I think we do need someone at the company to be a little bit more vocal and share a little bit more about what's being done, so that we don't have to make these inferences ourselves. So for me, if I had to kind of grade how I'm feeling about this change, I think in one way it's neutral, because we keep Eric's fantastic product focus and vision. And at its heart, Opendoor is really a financial company, right? It's a capital markets company. And Carrie had 21 years at TPG. She has a fantastic resume, if not a track record of being a CEO. And I think in that regard, I don't take it as a big loss for the company. But it's really her game to lose at this point. I think I'd really like to see some of the changes that she makes, and that this shakeup kind of re-energizes the company. But we'll see kind of how that shakes out. Can people still hear me?
Yes. There was a glitch here. I hope everything is all right.
Damn, Elon.
We spoke too soon about the technical issues.
Yeah, Spaces is the most broken technology. Okay. Yeah, so that's kind of where I'm at with all this. I think it's a lot to unpack, and we've been noticing some strange things on our end and in our Discord over the past maybe week, feeling like there was something brewing. Some IR meetings were canceled. Eric canceled his investor presentation at the Credit Suisse 26th Annual Technology Conference. Just some sort of strange red flags coming up, and so we knew that something was going to be announced either today or tomorrow. Based on Eric's recent interview, we knew that he wasn't stepping down or stepping away from the company, but we did think that maybe he could be stepping down. We weren't sure who would be taking his place, but I mean, obviously, this is a very interesting development.
I think what's really worth reading is his email that he sent to the company, to Opendoor. It's published on the blog. He reflects a little bit on his early time at Opendoor, and also how he met Carrie and her history at the company. And most importantly, he says, to my teammates and shareholders, I'm not going anywhere. I'll be working on Marketplace full-time and bringing the relentless force required to build an industry-defining startup. Over the past few years, it crystallized in my head that a third-party business leveraging our platform was the future of the consumer experience and major part of our potential opportunity. So if you want to take the bullish view here, Eric can now clear off his schedule to focus 100% on building what is needed for Opendoor to succeed. And Carrie will do more of the work she already was doing. Yeah, if there's any questions, please feel free to request speaking permissions. One important thing to say, Kyla mentioned that we saw some signs, but those signs were mainly because of the canceled attendance at the conference, and then generally planned meetings that were moved to next week. So we knew some announcement was coming, but it's nothing in the actual business data is showing that anything is changing. Like whatever we expected at the beginning of the quarter that will happen is happening, and we have a bigger update on that that we released last week on Datador. If you want to read up on it, so Opendoor is not a step closer to bankruptcy. I think it's quite the opposite. We're seeing that everything is going really well. I don't think this was a decision because something changed from where the business was at last earnings call.
Yeah, maybe this is a good point to kind of dovetail on, because when I first posted about both this and Eric canceling the conference, people were like, the iBuyer model is officially dead and they're going bankrupt, and that is not the case at all. We posted an update last week. We're posting the November update in 2 weeks. I guess 10 days now, but we've seen a material trend reversal in Opendoor's business, and I think their conservative positioning has really helped them navigate out of this terrible housing cycle. And so, yeah, there's nothing in the data that's showing that the company is doing worse, certainly than they guided for.
Thomas actually pointed out that this might actually be, for him, a positive sign that Carrie took the job from CFO to CEO, and she pointed out they opened a strong financial position. I mean, we have been talking about this for weeks now, but we don't see a risk to Opendoor's solvency. They're not even close to getting bankrupt. So that's all.
Hello.
Hey, James.
Hey, James.
Hi. I just have a question. Do you guys have any guess if Eric Wu will still be on the earnings call, and if we will be still getting his shareholder letter?
Yeah, so basically, Eric is becoming president with the additional title of president of marketplace. But usually, presidents are on the earnings call. I mean,
Andrew
Andrew
was.
was on the earnings call as well. So we should expect him on the earnings call. Shareholder letters should likely be coming from Kerry, but I mean, there are companies where shareholder letters are coming from the president. So I wouldn't be surprised if Eric still takes care of that.
Agreed.
Yeah, one more thing, we can go into the details because there was an SEC filing about compensation. And basically, Eric had a bunch of agreements with the company on milestones where he would vest additional shares. He forfeited all of his upcoming share vests. So there will be, so all of the SBC that would be going to Eric is now cleared. And I assume in the next earnings call, we will hear more about the details of Eric's compensation, but everything that was agreed on in the past doesn't apply anymore. Kerry is taking a $750,000 salary. So I think almost double than what Eric was taking. Big base salary. And she's getting a grant of $25 million vested over 4 years. So if she stays at the company for the next 4 years, she will vest $25 million in today's share price. I think there was a clause in there that the share price has to stay between $1.60 and $2 until the end of the year for this to take effect. So if for some reason the stock price drops below $1.60, there might be a different arrangement. But that's to her compensation. She doesn't have milestones like Eric had. That can be concerning to some people. Like I'm a big fan of the CEO having skin in the game. Elon Musk is famous for that. Had some really aggressive stock price targets that unlocked more equity. Right now, Kerry is just taking $25 million over 4 years. That can change, right? $25 million is not a lot over 4 years. I think she vested like $50 million last year alone. So this will probably change as she proves that she's actually successful. Any other questions? I'm just checking if we missed anything.
Kind of short and sweet. So sort of to sum up, unless someone else raises their hand, I think.
One more question from Space Invader Emoji, whoever that is.
Hi.
Hey.
I think you could. Yeah, great. Okay. I just want to make sure you could hear me. So, like the rest of the folks on this call, I think I'm aggressively bullish on Opendoor. But kind of like looking at this whole scenario and taking this from like a bullish stance, it's great that he's focusing on the marketplace. What likelihood do you give it that Eric ends up leaving the company within 5 years, and then kind of the trajectory of the company changing? Would you say that's like 5% odds of happening, 10%? I feel like I'm not as well versed in Opendoor as most of the folks on this call, so would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah,
I think. Sorry, do you want to go first, Tyler?
Sure. Yeah, I'll just kick us off and then maybe follow up. I think Eric feels very deeply, like a lot of founders who've been at their company for a long period of time, that Opendoor is an expression of him, and I think that comes through in his blog post when he's talking about he sees Opendoor as a child, right? And so in that regard, I feel like he has, a strong sense that that he needs to continue at Opendoor until it's self-sufficient, right? Until it can sort of run itself. And he identified someone that he really trusts and someone that he values and admires and Kerry to lead the company and give the control over to her, which I imagine was no small feat, and really took a long time. She's been with Opendoor for 3 years, right? 1 year as a board member, and then 2 years as CFO. But throughout the entire time that Opendoor has been a public company, which is a tumultuous time. And so my expectation would be if Eric leaves Opendoor within the next 5 years, it would be because he solved the problem, right? Like he solved for the marketplace. The business is sustainable, and it's becoming what he always wanted it to be. But I think, until they reach that point, I can't imagine that Eric would abandon the company. I just feel like he has too much sense of responsibility there.
Yeah, and I think it really depends on the success of that third-party marketplace, right? I feel like Eric wouldn't give up on the company unless he can make this successful. Another option is that he comes back as a CEO. Like, I don't think that's off the table. There is a lot of companies where in a really hard time, you need a wartime CEO. You need somebody that is there, maybe micromanages to some extent, is on top of the whole business. And Kerry might fit that role perfectly right now. Maybe things are getting better, and we didn't need another product-focused leader of the company. Maybe he steps back in as a CEO. That option is also there. Any other questions? Oh, we have someone coming up. Hey there. Do you have a question for us?
Yeah. What do you think about Andrew's departure?
Tyler, do you have an opinion, or should I go first this time?
I missed the start of the question. Was the question about how we feel about Andrew's departure?
Yeah.
Yes.
So, yeah, I mean, I think Andrew was a great teammate and leader for the company. I mean, he's been here for a long time, and so I think that's a hit because he's had to lead and manage a challenging business. So I'm not sure exactly the details there, or what really motivated that, or what his other opportunities are that he's pursuing. On the other hand, the person who's filling his shoes is Eric, who's the founder, and he's going to be laser focused on marketplace with very little distractions. So I think, in that regard, the blow is softened somewhat. But by all accounts, Andrew was an excellent leader, and I'm sure he's going to be missed.
Yeah, we also heard some rumors, and you never know how much is to that Andrew might have been one of the people that were leaning towards accelerating and taking a little bit more risk this year, and that might have resulted in where we are today. I'm sure somebody had to make that call, and in the end, obviously Eric as the CEO was responsible. That might be also part of why Kerry's replacing him for now, but it might also have something to do with Andrew. We don't really know. We have another speaker, another question.
Yes, I was just wondering what your thoughts were on Powell's comments about that he expects the housing market to, well, I mean, he said the bubble formed, or at least increased during the pandemic, and he says we're on the other side of that bubble now. So he sees housing prices falling further. And how do you think that's going to affect Opendoor? At the same time, actually, like he also said that they're probably going to ease up on the rate hikes. So I guess that would be a positive. But I don't know. Where do you think things are overall?
I think this is a good question about macro backdrop for Opendoor, and at the end of the day, the thesis for Opendoor has changed somewhat this year, and then in a lot of ways it hasn't really changed at all. But I'll say that Opendoor should be fine in a down market. What it shouldn't be fine for is a rapidly declining market. And so I think we've already seen the U-turn, right? We've already seen us go from record home appreciation to record home depreciation. Like the velocity of this downturn outstrips even the 2008 financial crisis. And so that's the type of market that Opendoor is going to really struggle in. So if rates continue to rise at this gradual pace, I expect them to be navigatable by iBuyers. If rates were to suddenly change in a negative direction, that would be where Opendoor would struggle, and anything else is gravy. If rate hikes are slowed or we get a little home price appreciation while Opendoor is conservatively positioned, then they get to add HPA into their resale margins, and so that's obviously a positive for the company. But what we're seeing in our data is that the company is rebounding because it's able to buy homes at much wider spreads, even though home prices are still depreciating. And so I think, they're showing that this is an environment that they can navigate. What they did wrong was they bought far too many homes in the middle of summer, which I still think was a terrible strategy and has never really been fully fleshed out or answered by the company. And yet at the same time, that miscue was coupled with, the housing doing some things that it's never really done before. And so you add that together and Opendoor has egg on its face, and it's been a tough couple quarters and will be, at least a couple more quarters negatively impacted. So I think as long as we're not seeing a sharp downturn from here on out really fast, Opendoor should be okay. But also at the same time, it seems like we've already made the most substantial part of that move.
What's really important for Opendoor is for home transaction to happen, right? Right now we are the volume of home transactions is quite low. I mean, it's part of it is seasonality. We're in the winter, but obviously mortgage rates are not helping. The uncertainty of where mortgage rates are going is not helping. I think the faster we get to a place where mortgage rates seem more stable, if it's in the 6% or the 5% or somewhere in between, it doesn't really matter for home buyers and sellers or home movers. It's just important that they're stable, so that nobody is waiting on the sidelines for something to happen, and hopefully we'll get there in the beginning of next year. We have one more question here from Dave. Hey, Dave.
Hey there. Hey guys. So can you hear me?
Yes.
Awesome. Yeah, so I just wanted to, I guess, talk, when we talk about the macro and when we talk about the events from today, with Carrie stepping in, I've always liked her tone and the way she kind of articulates and speaks to the numbers on the calls, and I think that if she's out in front a little bit more, that'll be a great benefit. But you saw part of her statement in the press release, right? It's really talking about solid financial foundation, right? It's talking about having a solid balance sheet, and and she talks about focusing on unit economics, right? That's part of her quote, right? So when we talk about that and we kind of frame this in terms of what she's really saying in that press release, unit economics is a focus. It is the focus, right, for her. And now she's the CEO. She's the one in charge, right? So I kind of look at that and I think, I've been thinking maybe more layoffs in Q1, and then I almost wonder if this is kind of like also not the whole reason, but one of the maybe 3, 4, or 5 reasons why Eric thought I need to get it. It's time, right? It's time for me to step aside, partly because there could be more layoffs coming. There could be, it's just, let's shake things up, and the new leader's going to decide that new path. I'm just going to focus on the 3P marketplace, and that's it. And I think maybe it opens the door for that, but I just wanted to make that comment and see if there's any other comments around that, or if there's a different opinion than that on, like, could there be more layoffs, or does that, if they're just simply looking to really get really mean and lean in Q1.
Hey man, sounds like you've got some fun going on in the background. It's good to hear from you. I think it's a good point. I think Sebastian kind of touched on this as well, but Carrie is a brass tacks, very analytical type of person, and Eric is, where he's 99th percentile, right? Is 0 to 1. He's a product guy, and I think those are two really unique skill sets for leaders in technology companies. And Eric's skill set was incredibly important to galvanize the company in the early days, and to bring on exceptional teammates, right? To build the company, to inspire them with his vision and his clarity, and even investors as well, right? Because he was able to raise capital. He was able to convince people like me and you all that Opendoor would build something great. But at the same time, he doesn't like doing that. He doesn't like doing interviews. He doesn't like talking to investors. He really just wants to be in this perpetual build stage. And the current stage of the life cycle that Opendoor is in, due to sort of extraneous circumstances, is one of not building but sustaining. And Eric might not be the right leader in Opendoor's life cycle for that. And Carrie, on the other hand, you have this analytical brass tacks type of leader who understands capital markets, understands how to finance, how to raise, and she might be the kind of more wartime, ruthless type of leader that Opendoor needs to sustain. And in the meantime, Eric can focus on doing what he does best, which is build product, build something that consumers adore. And if the marketplace doesn't work, the whole thing is on him, right? Like, everything has sort of been on him from the beginning. But at least now he gets all of his focus really just on building this thing that he believes is the final form of his baby. And so I think in that way, Carrie and Eric are now more aligned with the roles that probably suit them best. But obviously, anytime there's a shakeup in leadership, it raises some eyebrows, and it's like, what's going on?
Right, we're going to take one more question. We have Martinez here. Do you have a question for us?
Hey, what's up, ladies and gentlemen? Well, I do agree with Tyler. I think he's right on with our CFO moving and stepping up to the CEO role, because honestly, she was taking that role to a degree already. If I mean, I would consider most of you guys invested in the company, and I'm pretty sure you guys went through the cycle that we're going through at the moment with the Federal Reserve and all that stuff. So I too feel confident that a CFO, to her degree, is gonna be better positioning for the company overall, and then we can have our former CEO pretty much take charge of the actual product and create more value for the company. Well, he doesn't have to worry about pretty much giving that feedback to the investors. So right on, Tyler, I'm with you on that. And I mean, I remember when I was looking into this company, I really wanted to hear out my CEO that I'm investing in, right? I believe in the product. I believe the transaction of purchasing a home is way overdone. Like, we have to evolve. But I couldn't get my hands on any good material that I could somewhat analyze. And obviously, I'm not in close proximity of him to see him as, okay, who's running this company? Because, I mean, at the end of the day, we're invested. So I guess my question would be to whomever would be able to answer is, do you believe we have the capital pretty much to take us through this tunnel to where will shift our economy back up to growth. Because at the end of the day, we are down, and very few companies are gonna survive, and that's just the cycle of money. So I guess that would be my question. Do you guys believe this position is really going to enable us to get to the other growth cycle? Which, yes, like Tyler said, that would be the evolution of his baby, of the CEO's product. I'm just wondering if we have that capital to do that.
Hey man, thanks for the question. So short answer, yes. I think we definitely have the capital to outlast this cycle. I like how you phrase it, and get through this tunnel. Yeah, I mean, I think Opendoor took the brunt of the hit in Q3, and Q4 and Q1 and so on and so forth will all look sequentially better from there. Q4 will look even better than expected because of how much Opendoor took as a loss in Q3 using inflated negative expectations, right? Like an overly pessimistic outlook. Yeah, so I think yes, Opendoor has the capital to outlast this. They're creative with their debt financing, and that's likely thanks to Carrie. The other thing I'd say, and this is really important to reiterate, and I've said this before, but I just want to make this clear, is we have as close to real-time data as possible for Opendoor, right? I mean, that's kind of the muscle that we built with Datador and the service that we offer. And I would say if Opendoor was ever in a position where I thought that they would go bankrupt, I would share it. I'd be very open about it. I'd be public about it. I wouldn't try to front run anything. Like we've been in this game long enough, and we've cared enough about getting at least the business right, that I think the worst thing I can possibly think of is to be dishonest about something as objective as data. And I feel pretty strongly about that. And so, both Sebastian and I, what we try to do is present the data as cleanly and as no spin as possible. Obviously, we're bullish on the space because we believe that housing is broken and we believe that it needs to be fixed. And Opendoor is the one that's really trying to solve the hard problems. But if it's not Opendoor, I'm going to be bullish on the next one who comes after it too, because I think it's a problem space that needs to be addressed. But all that to say is, if Opendoor ever got to the point where I was like, I really just don't see them getting through this, I'd let everybody know, and that's very important to us.
That was a great question to maybe end our spaces today. Thanks everybody for showing up. I know it has been a rough year, a very rough year for Opendoor shareholders with this announcement. It has been a rough week as well. So from here on, I think Opendoor has everything aligned to turn the ship around. We're really excited about Q4 earnings, and we will share more about our data in the next few weeks, and should have some Q4 predictions at the end of the year as well. And it's an exciting year for Opendoor. New CEO, a lot of house cleaning. We've seen Opendoor home loans, Opendoor Max, everything that was an ambitious experiment being put on hold, so we can focus on the actual business, the iBuyer business, the marketplace business, the institutional business. And we will need to see Opendoor execute on that in the next 6 to 12 months. We heard the ambitious goal of 30% of all sales going to through their marketplace. Right now, we are still quite other than in the direct institutional sales, we're still quite far away from that. So we expect some exciting news about Opendoor exclusives starting maybe the beginning of the new year. Hopefully a lot of new market launches there as well. And as always, you can follow all of the data on Datadog, and make sure to follow Tyler and Datadog on Twitter as well. Tyler, do you have some closing remarks?
Yeah, I mean, I think you really nailed it, and we touched on a lot of it. It's been a crazy couple years for Opendoor and for the housing market. And the worst part about that is I really feel like if the housing market was more or less normal and sane, then things would be a lot more a lot easier for these companies that are trying to reinvent residential real estate. I mean, it's been nearly impossible across the board, and only the best capitalized and the best run companies are the ones that are going to survive this cycle. And so I continue to believe that Opendoor is one of those. That's what the data are saying. That's what our interpretation of the data is continuing to say. And so and as I said, if that changes, we're going to be honest about it. There's nothing to gain for us other than being right. And I think that's where we're most incentivized for our business, and for our audience, and we take that very seriously. So yeah, if anyone has any additional questions or wants to see some of the grassroots research we're doing, check out our Discord. Most of the great tips and detective work that we get comes from there. And we really are able to sharpen and challenge the thesis there and keep everyone accountable. So feel free to DM me if you have any questions. Come chat with us on Discord. We'd love to continue to broaden the community.
All right, thank you all for joining. Have a great evening. As always, we will upload this later to YouTube as well if you missed the beginning. And yeah, have a great evening. Thank you.